We are live on the Information Super. How a glorious time zones to all. How you doing, Tez?
I'm all good, dude. I'm all good. I've been loving the show releases so far, and we've got a lot of positive feedback, dude.
Yes, it's been lots of good feedback for the first few episodes of Nothing But a Good Podcast. Welcome everybody to a new episode of possibly the third episode of Nothing But a Good Podcast. Thank you for everyone for joining us on this music journey. It's just good fun to open up and tell stories of music and discuss historical events in our lives. And there was a big historical event that happened last night in the history of music, Tez.
Oh yes. So me and Laura had been sort of catching up during the day, and he happened to mention watching the Back to the Beginning Ozzy Osbourne Black Sabbath final show that was also going out on stream. And yeah, that was pretty much my entire day and evening, and I loved it.
Same as me. Did you try and get tickets?
So with this year being the year that I'm getting married,
Oh,
the
yes.
idea I knew that the tickets weren't going to be cheap. Like I think about a month or so prior, there'd been the whole online discourse about Oasis, where their tickets had that I can't remember the term, but it's like the pricing goes through the roof, like
Couldn't pay
dynamic
me to see
pricing or something.
Oasis. Couldn't pay me to
Yeah,
see Oasis.
but I had an idea that it's going to be expensive, and I think I looked out of curiosity because I'd have loved to have gone, but I'm sure that it was it like 300 quid or something like that. I'm sure it was mega
Oh, what?
expensive.
Oh, I know drummer James, who I know, and he did go. I think it was 160.
Oh, 160.
But he's
Okay,
right to the back.
yeah. Well, I mean, I'd have just watched the screens anyway. It'd be
Mm.
the atmosphere, you know.
Yeah,
So I
yeah.
mean, I'd have liked to have gone, and I did have a lot of envy, but I think the stream worked brilliantly. I know it was on a bit of a delay, but yeah. I mean, it looked excellent. So everyone who managed to go, I'm very envious.
Yeah, it was a historical day for anyone who's a rock and metal fan. We had a Nothing But a Good Time performance down in Mevagissey, down in Cornwall, on Friday, and it's a long drive, dude. Long drive. We got back at 5 in the morning. Because there was loads of road closed, so quite a long drive. And then we had the concert started after the stream was at 3 o'clock, wasn't it? Mastodon started, and it was like I put it on straight away, and I ended up having a bit of a gathering. Do you know what I thought was very cool about it would be, of course, we were a bit young for like Live Aid and the Freddie Mercury
Mm.
tribute concert, and I can imagine that's what it would have been like to get people around together. I did say, Tez lives a bit far from me, about 3 or 4 hours, so we could have like had gatherings and had parties. And I'm sure loads of rock and metal fans all got together if they weren't at the show. And that's what we did. I think I had about 12 people around my house in the end, which was quite cool.
Nice.
Made a chili for everyone. And it was really cool, man. It was a historic moment in rock and metal, I think. What were some of your highlights?
I mean, to before kind of starting on the bands, I have to say, like the whole production and the turnaround from band to band was
Yeah,
incredible. Like the stage had like this massive like Lazy Susan sort of device that rotated the drums round
yeah.
and the back line. So you literally only had 5, maybe at most 10 minutes between bands for the majority of it. Um, I have to admit, the first supergroup when they did The Ultimate Sin with Lizzie Hale from
Yeah,
Hailstorm singing and Jakey Lee on guitar,
yeah.
that was incredible. Um, I got a little bit emotional when Ozzy was talking and saying how he's been laid up for 6 years and you don't know how it feels and whatnot. I was just like, oh man, this is the last time. Like it isn't going to happen again. And you often hear with bands when they're like doing a retirement tour or final tour, like Motley Crue. I think they've done about
Oh God.
4
Ugh. Yeah,
final tours
a
and
million.
contracts and all that stuff. Yeah, and but with this, it's like, well, they're all in their 70s, like 70s to 80s, and it's not going to happen again. But
No.
in terms of highlights, a surprise for me was Youngblood. Never really listened to him much, but I
Yeah,
thought he was actually quite good. And Steven Tyler, that was absolutely incredible.
I was.
A low light would be Guns N' Roses, I would just
Oh
say.
yeah. I mean,
Axel.
I don't know if anyone's realised from listening to the first few episodes of Nothing But a Good Podcast, I'm a big Aerosmith fan. I don't know if anyone realises. Did you know that, Tez?
I didn't know that. No,
Oh,
I'm
really?
quite
Yeah.
surprised by that.
I know, unbelievable. And I was like, of course, when he was announced, I was very excited that he was going to come over. But of course, I was really worried that because he's got a knackered voice, he broke his larynx, and that's why the big Aerosmith tour was cancelled. I was worried that, like, oh my god, like, is he just going to play harmonica, and I'll just be like a bit disappointed. Nate, he came out and even got like a special introduction, didn't he, from Jason Momoa, which was cool. Jason Momoa was a great host, wasn't he? I really enjoyed Hailstorm. I thought they were cool. It's a shame, actually, Lizzie Hale was the only lady on the whole show. I find that was quite a shame. There should have been more of the female rockers and metalers there.
Yeah.
Surprised we didn't see Lita Ford there. Of course, she did a song with Ozzy back in the day.
Oh yeah, of course.
Which would have been cool. I thought Guns N' Roses. They were fucking Axl, mate.
Do you reckon he had a backing track in his ear that was slightly faster than what they were playing? Because in some of the songs, I don't know if I just assumed that because he was coming in like half a beat or a beat ahead of the song.
Maybe his ears packed up because if you notice, he went on a talk back mic, which would be a silent mic that the crowd can't hear, and he did it all to the band or the stage manager or whoever. And I'm sure something went wrong. But my God, he was really bad at singing. Sorry to say, he wasn't very good. And they did "Welcome to the Jungle," and of course we've all heard that song a million times. But the Guns N' Roses band sounded wicked because they're in the middle of a tour. They sounded amazing. And then
Slash was like note perfect. Yeah.
"Welcome to the Jungle" starts, and you're like, yeah, it started, and then bloody he starts singing, and it's like I forgot the first three songs of their set. He sounded like Mickey Mouse, and then he started singing it again. I was like, oh shit, I was going. It sounded so bad. It was so bad. But yeah, Guns N' Roses, the band sounded good. Steven Tyler, I was super happy, and he was awesome. He was badass. He was so badass, singing Zeppelin as well, which was wicked.
Yes.
I loved seeing, and no, I got emotional with Ozzy singing "Mama, I'm Coming Home." Wasn't it? It was.
Oh God,
I did. I mean, goodness me. Meryl said she did as well. Got really emotional. I got emotional. I had the feels. I was holding back the tears, man. It wasn't me crying. You were crying. You know, it was. Yeah. Totally was. It was. It was wicked, man. It was a celebration of rock and metal. It was awesome. Would have been amazing to be there. Great.
Yeah. I don't. I mean, like, it all sounded incredible. And everyone did a great job. There was only that one of the guest singers they had was Billy Corgan from the Smashing Pumpkins. Now, I like some Smashing Pumpkins, but I've never really been a big fan of his voice.
Yeah.
I noticed at one point it was during Tom Morello, because Tom Morello was, I believe, the musical director who kind of organised or put together a lot of the stuff. There's a point when he was doing his guitar solo, and he does his Rage Against the Machine guitarist. He does a lot of very strange, unique solos, but he was doing it like playing the guitar with his mouth, like Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah.
And I don't know if Billy Corgan was being a bit salty or what, but he sort of, while he was dancing around, he then went behind Tom Morello as if to like kiss his ass. So I don't know if there was like a whole thing of like, him being a bit like, oh, this is the Tom Morello show or what. I don't know. But I would actually have to say that I was massively impressed by I think he's the Extreme guitarist, isn't he? Nuno.
Yeah.
He was an MVP. He played on a lot of the guest appearances, like the super groups, but he was just incredible.
Nuno's badass, man. Yeah, the Extreme guitarist Nuno is wicked. He's a great singer too, and Nuno was awesome. The whole day, what a great celebration of rock and metal. And I'm glad being. I suppose we had Live 8.
Live 8 was that 2008 or something?
I don't know. And there was Live Earth, I remember, happened, and I did get to give some mates then. But this is probably the first time having my own place and stuff, because I think Live 8 was Live Earth was 2005. It's a long time ago. No, I mean there's a lot of crap on there too, so you wouldn't necessarily want to have a party. I think there's all like poppy stuff as well. But this was the first like a big rock festival, a bit probably very much like the Freddie Mercury tribute concert. I can imagine it was like that. And,
Yeah.
get all your rock and metal friends together and see all your, it was really cool. It was just the only thing I was a bit gutted about the 2-hour delay, man, making it finish at 1. Everyone's knackered. The main highlight. Everyone's knackered. Why was it a 2-hour delay? And
I have to.
And who's Meat Dripper as well? They've got loads of in all those adverts in between, wasn't it? Oh, we're Meat Dripper. It's great coming from Birmingham. We're not for ages.
Yeah, my fiance sort of joined me later on in the evening to watch as it was getting closer to Ozzy coming on, Ozzy and then Black Sabbath, and she was sort of saying, "God, I'm getting so sick of these." The little voiceover clips in between, which the whole point was, obviously it's the huge reach, the celebrities, but also the general fans and what they love about Black Sabbath and Ozzy. But yeah, after about 6 or 7 hours, you're kind of done with hearing like Black Sabbath created metal music, and without them, I wouldn't be who I am today. And it's like, okay, I get it. I get it.
They didn't have many, did they? They had to end up repeating them. You think they would have been like, oh, we've actually got millions of people messaging in going Black Sabbath. Feels like we could have done one test quickly. Gone, Black Sabbath. They repeated about the same 15. But apart from that, it was awesome. The whole day was awesome. And great, you could buy the stream. And it all went to charity.
Yes,
awesome.
All went to charity, which is brilliant, yeah.
Also, Metallica were good. Kirk Hammett's guitar went dreadfully out of tune for one of the songs. Can't remember, it sounded awful. But
that was a little bit.
It was cool though, man. It was good. Pantera, didn't like Pantera too much. I felt like they were a bit slow. They did kind of dropped it down a bit much for me, I felt.
I love Pantera, and I saw them earlier this year in Wembley, and it was incredible. But the one thing that, whilst it was impressive that they were able to turn around the band so quickly, like you've got one band set up into the next band within 5 to 10 minutes. Sometimes I thought that the mixing wasn't quite right, or didn't sound quite so great. So like Pantera, the guitar was just not like too loud, but there was something in the mix where it was like something was wrong with the guitar, and similar to most of Gojira's set, where I couldn't really hear the singer.
Not at all.
No. But yeah, I mean, I guess on an event as big as that, you're going to have the odd tech issue, and it was never that big of a deal that it kind of derailed the whole thing.
No.
There's just little things here and there, but overall, like I was saying to my fiance, I don't currently play, in a band or anything, but whenever I go to a gig or whenever I watch something like this, when the energy levels are just so high, it's just like, oh, I'm gonna have to play some guitar. I want to listen to some more music. I want to get a band going. It just livens you up. And she was saying that it was just so nice to see me like elevated, like just having, it does something to you when you listen to these songs played on a stage with that energy, and just
the power of music, brother. It's the power of music. Most powerful force in all the world. I think back in the day we used to think it was Hulkamania, but it's actually music.
Doesn't work for me, brother.
No, but no, it was awesome, man. I loved it, and everyone enjoyed my chili as well that I made. So nice. Win-win. So podcast listeners, next time there's one of these events, you're all welcome. Come around the house, have some chili, and we'll have a big event. Hopefully, it won't have for a long time, and all these rockers will just keep going because that was definitely. I feel like that is definitely the end. The only thing, just on the sort of put a pin in the old back to the beginning festival. I'm very surprised that Black Sabbath didn't take some form of bow. I knew Ozzy couldn't do it, but it was like they finished, like, and like they all just walked off and just left him there in his seat. He's like, "Let me out of the seat." Oh.
Yeah, because he did shout something.
Yeah,
I couldn't make out what he was shouting, and then the fireworks started. So I don't know if he was saying "do the fucking fireworks" or something.
I got no idea, but you think they would have got round him. Like Geezer and Tony walked off, and Bill Ward just disappeared, and it was like,
yeah, he's just like, oh, I'm done now.
Done now. Yeah. There's no click tracks to Bill Ward as well, but that's just being a bit just being a bit pernickety. We're not
77 years old. Let's not
get like that. Just, I think by the end of that Iron Man, it was the slowest version ever. But sorry, I'm not going to be a bitch.
No. It's all in good humour.
It was all in good humour. It was wicked. It was really cool to see him. But yeah, and Ozzy sang live, which was awesome too.
Oh yeah, and that was the other thing. Like, obviously, when he mentioned the thing he said before, "Mama, I'm coming home," the other bit that was just wrenching at my heart was he was singing well, but you could tell like the mind, the energy, the soul, the mind, the soul wants to be up there
He wanted to
headbanging,
get out of the
performing,
seat,
but
wasn't he? Getting out.
he wanted to get out of the seat, but
Couldn't do
obviously
it.
physically
Yeah.
he can't do it anymore, and it's just like, oh god, this is just wrenching at that heart of mine.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, it's really
It
moving
was
event.
awesome. Great weekend of rocking. Great weekend of rocking. We nothing but good time. Played in Cornwall on Friday at Mevagissey Feast Week. So wicked, man. Thousands of people. Biggest gig we played yet. They loved it, and we loved it. We bought fireworks machine now, Tez. So we've got pyro.
Whoa.
So
Oh,
we've
excellent.
bought pyro, mate. We've got pyro now. Cold spark machine. So that was good fun. But it's
Ooh.
been a good week of rocking, and yeah, looking forward to talking about today's subject. Tez, what's on the docket today, mate?
So today it is, I believe, 30 years since Aerosmith released the first digital single via Geffen Music. Something that just changed how the world of music is digested. It was an experiment by the record company, but now it's had such a lasting impact, not just on how listeners hear and get their music, but also on bands and how bands get their music out into the world. So, yeah, do you remember, Law,
No.
when downloading music first sort of happened?
Oh, I don't remember that Aerosmith one. And this, of course, isn't no way we will joke about me like an Aerosmith. This just happens coincidentally to be Aerosmith did this. And I think it was Megadeth had the first ever website, and Rolling Stones did the first ever live gig stream back in the early 90s. But yeah, I remember downloading music. What I mean, a lot of my sorry, this is about a lot of my stories going to revolve around my love of like an Aerosmith. But there was Napster, wasn't there? And you could
Yeah.
download. I would always download bootleg stuff, so it wasn't ever proper songs. And there was a Aerosmith gig live at Mummakin, which is a little bar they own in Boston. And there was a gig they played in there, and it was just them playing in a tiny club to about 300-400 people. So it was this wicked gig, and it took me ages to find like each of these like the whole set list. And of course you couldn't look up a set list like that, or there was no people filming it. So it was I think it was broadcast on radio back in 94 when they played, and the whole gig was there. So that was probably when I first started downloading music. Before that, I would always go down to like the local record shops and buy bootleg CDs. So you do your own album covers, and people would buy like live recordings of radio broadcasts. But yeah, because I love like live music, hearing live records and live performances of bands. So I was very much into like trying to download that album, or we'll get into it with this sort of process of CDs into downloading. I used to love it when bands would have like the B-sides on their singles, and you'd get like 2 or 3 live tracks, and then of course we had tapes or CD. You could rip CDs, so you'd make your own live album. It was brilliant. I used to love it, Tez. You make your own live album because you'd have like all these live versions of songs, and then you'd make a whole live album. That bit obviously became like playlists. And then remember mini discs, Tez? Mate, they were awesome.
Oh,
they went on forever. Not mini discs didn't actually go on forever, but the amount of space on the mini disc was giant, so you could make a massive. I'd always make like all these live albums of like B-sides. I loved it. I love that. So I guess with all the downloading, we lost the glory of the B-side.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the casualties of the download era. I remember Napster and LimeWire being these services where it's not the correct way to get music, but because of it being a new thing available, it was a way where you could just go, oh, I really
Yeah.
want to listen to this new like for me, and I know it was one of the things that caused a big kickoff with Metallica. For me, it was "I Disappear," which was the song that they did for
Mission
Mission
Impossible
Impossible
2.
2.
To go full
Exactly,
circle, yeah.
and it's not on an album. But it's a pretty good rock song from them. But it was just on the soundtrack, and so I was like, oh, I'll download it, and my
I
internet was
bought that
terrible.
soundtrack.
You bought the
I
soundtrack.
did.
Oh, well, I downloaded it, and it probably took about 5-6
Yeah.
hours to download a 3-minute song. But for me, the part of the issue became that it was almost the problem that is now. It's almost too easy to be accessible to too much. So then you don't really appreciate what you're listening to because you can just jump around. Whereas I quite quickly reverted back to going to the shops, going to like a HMV, going to a local record store and going, right, I've got 30, 40 pounds that I want to spend on music. I know I want to pick up this new album. And I'll also just have a look round to see other ones that I might have heard about to give them a go. Because that was part of the fun for me, was a way to experience new bands. And I always used to, and I say used to because unfortunately I just don't really do this anymore. I always used to just love not listening to particular songs, but listening to an album from start to
Yeah.
finish. And yeah, there'll be particular songs that stand out from it, but ultimately, it's the experience of listening to that ride and discovering what's a really good album and what's an album that's got a few pretty good songs on. But
We've also lost
for
the
me, I
ghost
think that
track as
sort of
well.
lost a bit. And the
Haven't we?
ghost track, of course,
Don't get
yeah.
that anymore, do you? I don't know. I mean,
No.
on streams, if there's songs from an album with a ghost track, does the ghost track still play? If anyone
I'm
doesn't
not
know what a
sure.
ghost track would be, when the album finished, it would play silence for about 2 minutes and another song would come on.
Yeah, I can't imagine it does really anymore.
I'm not sure. But it's a weird one because I feel like, I mean, I remember going down on the bus down to Poole to go and buy S&M. The Metallica orchestra album, live album. I remember getting on the bus to buy that. Again, of course, we're a bit disconnected, but you wonder, even though music is that much more accessible, and you could literally go and listen to any band. We could listen to Meat Dripper right now from the Ozzy show. Does it make and to go back to Ozzy, does it make it special? Like all those bands playing yesterday, they're special because we had to make a maximum effort to go and get their music. You had to hear it on the radio, like we said on the previous episode, where you wait 2 hours for a music video to come on the box, whatever it be, or you watch TRL live on MTV to see if your favorite band or even the charts on Top of the Pops, wouldn't it? Or I remember the days of TFI Friday, like that was a brilliant because the amount of band. I remember one episode I think in one episode of TFI Friday, it was Foo Fighters, Chili Peppers, and Aerosmith on one episode on a Friday night from 6 till 7 on Channel 4. That's ridiculous. That's like a load of those people were playing last night, and that was just on terrestrial TV when there wasn't streaming, there wasn't YouTube. It made millions of people had seen that, and that's why these acts become special. And then going into the streaming, yes, it's that much more accessible, but is it special? And will there be any? And like you said, Youngblood's massive now, as he did his own festival a few weeks ago, so there is ways to connect with people. But will he be like a huge star? Will he have his own back to the beginning festival, really? Or is it all built around social media clicks and nonsense?
Well, I mean, this is it. Like, so I knew of the name Youngblood prior to him appearing, but never really listened to any of his music. I've heard like the odd snippet, but it's not really my sort of thing. But I don't know. I mean, you don't really hear that often, or I don't anyway, of newer bands and artists that are all over Spotify and doing these massive arena shows or stadium shows. And it's like, okay, what's their big standout album or albums, or
Yeah.
are they known for like particular songs? And I mean, I know of the name Youngblood, and he's got his festival, so it's clearly popular. But have I heard that this particular album is absolutely amazing, or these songs are his best songs? Like,
And when was
no.
the last time that happened, where you got some big, massive songs? You had this really cool song. There's probably loads of really cool songs coming out. But then, again, to be the devil's advocate, were those songs really cool songs because they were the only songs you could get that were played on the radio, on the TV? Because it's so, you can just grab it. And of course, we're saying about the ticket prices. That's why they've gone up so much money. To go into the story of like how it affects musicians, Voodoo Vegas, if anyone doesn't know, like the original music band that doing for many years. We recorded 3 albums in our time, and we did a live album. Back in the day when we had our first live album, it was recorded just at a local venue called Mr. Kip's. We would burn the CDs at home for £5, put them in a plastic wallet with a bit of a fold-over print from the local print shop. We'd sell them for £5 at the door. People obviously had cash as well. We would sell so many Tez of that live album, so many. It would fund the band. We'd go and play. Food Vegas, we'd go out and play for free, supporting Guns N' Roses tributes. It was wild. People would think, what are you doing? Why are you doing that? We wouldn't do stuff on the scene, all these like hard rock hells and things. We'd go off and play like in Gloucester Guildhall to 500 people, and then we would play to all those people who like rock music, and then we'd stand at the door handing out CDs, handing out stickers. Still do that with Nothing But a Good Time. If you come to a Nothing But a Good Time gig, we hand out stickers. I think it's a great way to have someone to take a piece of your show or your band home. I think I recommend it to any band. Give away a sticker. Costs nothing, and people will take a sticker because it's a thing. It's not just a piece of fly with information. It's actually something. So we would sell those CDs. It funded the band. We connect with people. We ended up doing our first record. Interestingly, talk about downloads. I remember when all those people we played to who would come see Voodoo Vegas, I'd always say, write on the wall, our Facebook wall, and I'll send you a free song. And I'd send them a recording of Someone Kind. So they download that one for free. That's like you're giving away your music for free, which wasn't really a thing people were doing. I remember years ago on newspapers, I think Prince gave away an album on a record on a Sunday newspaper, I think. We should have to look at that. But like, so that was the journey through Voodoo Vegas. Got to our first record. You know, we pressed 1,000 CDs. We were selling them. We would sell them at gigs, £10. Sell loads of CDs. It was brilliant. You're making money. Your band's making money. We never put it in our pocket, but it funded the band. We did our first record in 2012. Released it in 2013, and we were still doing those gigs, doing support slots. It was wild. And then as the downloading situation started getting bigger, how it affected, our band, our grassroots band, I guess you'd say. You would be you'd still put your music up on Spotify and all those places, but you'd want to still be selling your records. The amount of money you get, like, for streaming, for selling for streams, it's like 0.0004 pence per play. You get nothing. Like, people don't realize how much money bands don't get for their music. So the running costs of an original band are thousands. It would get. I remember for put in perspective, we did a tour with a band called Y&T. Yesterday and Today they're called, but Y&T, Dave Meniketti is the singer. Amazing band. One of the nicest bands we ever played with. I'd give, for like famous rock stars, the most down to earth, nicest people you've ever met. Like, brilliant people. Some of the people we played with were not, and we'll get into more stories about that. But these guys were brilliant, and we went on tour with them in 2014. So we had our first record and other merch. We sold loads of merch every night. 200, 300, 400 quid of merch every night. 4 or 5 shows. CDs it was mostly. We went back and toured with them in 2017. That went down. So it's 3 years. That we did probably a quarter of the CDs and merch we sold. And I don't think it's because we got shitter. I generally think we had more albums then as well because people weren't buying CDs. So the amount of money we had to pay to go and take our band to Holland, hire a van, ferries, petrol, hotels. We weren't getting money for the tour as such. We were like, it just started costing so much money. It was costing because you weren't making the money selling CDs. I remember we went and played with Uriah Heep in Holland as well, and they said we don't even bring CDs anymore. It mega affected bands. The growth of the band in terms of the money you could have coming in to put back into your band. I think how it's great you can connect with people. And do people judge your band now on how many followers you've got on Spotify? I mean, surely it's more about the song. Isn't that bullshit?
Well, I think it's one of the things that I think has also affected or changed in the film industry is that quite often now actors who have no interest in social media because they're, let's say, traditional actors,
Yeah.
they're just very much, I want to get into characters and do interesting testing characters and create art. Sometimes producers will say to them, we really need you to increase your follower count on social media because it doesn't look good that you've only got 30,000 followers. Like, we really need, you to be in the low millions and all that stuff. And it's like, wait, why does my social media matter? Like, oh, well, it does, because then
Yeah.
it tells the investors what sort of reach you have. And it's like that. I guess that's the same for bands where, maybe company execs and studios will look and go, oh, we really need a quota of this amount. And I'm sure I've heard stories where bands have, been talking to road agents about, getting signed to a major label. Everything's looked good until some person in the label has then gone, wait a minute, why are we talking to this band when their Spotify, average monthly listens are only this many thousand? And
That
it's just
pressure,
like,
man. That
yeah.
pressure's brutal. I mean, Voodoo Vegas haven't been going full guns. I think we've played since about 2022. We've, obviously lockdown and stuff happens, and many bad things happened in the year 2019. It's horrid. And of course, then lockdown happened, all that stuff. So there's loads of stories to tell about that sort of stuff with Voodoo Vegas, the fabled 2019 year, and then the 2020 greatness just before the lockdown. So we'll say that for another episode. But like the pressure of having to get that number up, and we all know doing the like content that we're doing now, trying to get people to download our podcast or watch our videos. Tez, you do the Mystery Horror. It's we did the wrestling podcast. It's a big pressure on you, and to have that pressure and not even be around writing a song, that's nonsense in many ways. And if there's many advantages to the downloading, and this anniversary 30 odd years ago from this Aerosmith single Head First that came out, but there are also lots of real negative things. And does the music do the talking anymore, or is it just mathematical numbers and how many followers you've got? I don't necessarily think it's a good thing. I don't know how you could necessarily fund an original band project anymore without the income of CDs coming in. You have to make t-shirts, and then festivals, charge you percentages. Like if you play Hard Rock Hell or one of these festivals, they'll charge you 25% of your t-shirts, of your merchandise. What are they paying 25% to make it? No. What a load of crap, to be honest.
That's crazy.
That's crap, dude. That's crap.
Yeah.
You drive to, bands drive to, I've done it. Drive to these festivals, you drive 10, 5, 6, 7 hours, 7 of you going, getting paid 50 quid maybe, and then they'll charge you 25% for your t-shirt sales. And you're like, you didn't charge me 25%, you didn't chip in 25% to make it. It's nonsense. People don't realise that. And it's crap for the original artists to try and have the money to fund. I will blow your mind about how much money Voodoo Vegas spent. I'm going to say it now. How much money Voodoo Vegas spent from the year 2012, just before we did our record, to the year 2020. Okay. Do you want to take a guess? And
2012 and 2020, so 8 years. And that was 3 albums in that time?
3 albums, Plane Flights.
3 albums.
Touring.
Plane Flights, touring. I'm gonna average out, and I'm gonna say $8,000 because of 8 years. I'm gonna say $8,000.
No,
higher or lower?
I wish it was $8,000, Ted. No, mate. It was Voodoo Vegas between 2012 and 2020. We've got our accounts spent £100,000.
I know dead air on radio and podcasts isn't ideal, but there's just a second there where I was like, huh? Come again?
£100,000.
That is...
And it was just a cycle of how much money went in and how much money came out. And you'd go and play a festival. You get paid a couple grand to play in Slovenia, maybe. But then in turn, you then would, like, I know one year we knew we were getting the guaranteed money from Slovenia. But then we got offered a gig in Romania. And we're like, well, let's do this. Let's go to Romania. But Romania was only paying us like 400 quid. So you use the money from Romania to pay for Slovenia. And it was all that sort of stuff. You know, we'll tell more stories. We did crowdfunding, which raised us quite a bit of money. But of course, that was paying for records, paying for PR agents. What a load of nonsense. Charging £500 a month to bands, telling them you need me to get you into magazines. You know, and then that's it. Like, we did that for many, many years, and you couldn't have got into the magazines like Kerrang and Classic Rock and cover CDs for Classic Rock Out magazine without any of that stuff. It's nonsense. And the tour buy-ons, which we will get into, like, it was an astronomical amount. And just to say it at 20, when it got to 2020, to just tone it down with the shock of how much money we spent. When it got to 2020, the gig we did, which we'll get into the story of that. I don't want to sort of spoil everything because there's lots of stories to tell. That ended up clearing all of our debt. As such, we were debt free, and we landed. You know, was it in the red, black, whatever it is? Black. We were plus 50 quid or something like that after all those years. So, I mean, and arguably from the period, just to take it back, from that period of the amount of money we were selling CDs when we played with like Status Quo. Talk briefly about a buy-on. We paid for a buy-on with Status Quo, one of the biggest rock bands ever. It was a lot of money. We paid £1,200 for one gig to support Status Quo in Holland. That money didn't go to Status Quo. It wasn't them asking us for it. It was management and stuff. We paid £1,200 to play with Status Quo. 3,000 people at the gig. We sold £1,400, £1,500 worth of merchandise at that show. So in theory, pay for the buy-on, the exposure, the video, all of us playing for it. And it's still one of my favourite videos ever. And I wouldn't regret that in my life. That's something I would never take away. But, you know, if someone came to us now and said, you can play with this giant band that sold 50, 60 million albums in front of thousands of people, it's going to cost you £1,200. How are you going to pay for that buy-on? Whether you agree with buy-ons or not, which we'll get into again with this, for that one singular moment, you can play this epic, massive show. How will you pay for that buy-on? Because a T-shirt, and then what will happen now as well, they'll make you price match the main band. So if they're selling their T-shirts for £45, euros, dollars, you will have to sell your T-shirts for £45, euros, dollars. You can't undercut them. So why is someone going to buy the original band or the support band's T-shirt? Unless it's an awesome design. Luckily with those gigs, we didn't have to price match. So we would stand at the door and we fired out CDs and we worked our ass off to try and sell enough stuff to pay for that one gig. And we did. You know, we all chucked in money to get the ferry and petrol and whatnot. But it's a tough world, and to take it to the whole streaming thing, how do you fund those epic times? How? I don't know.
No, I mean, this is the thing. Like, I guess in the past it used to be, well, if you wanna be serious about being in a band, you got to go all in. You know, live on the road and do the shows, and that's how you make your money and whatnot. And I guess that's the naivety of not understanding all of the costs associated with just getting to those gigs and getting on those bills, and what you're actually going to come out of it. Once everything's paid for. But I suppose in today, the social media age, YouTube age, that a lot of younger bands or younger artists could probably very well look at the current situation and go, I could spend all this money renting out studio space to jam with other musicians and rent out, this, and then pay for the buy-ons to go to these gigs and end up accruing a fair amount of debt unless you've already got money squirreled aside, or somehow, click on social media and then just play, covers or play originals or whatever on streams or videos to get the clicks. Because I guess that these days, a lot of the online guitarists, for example, you sometimes see them and you think, this person's incredible. Like, they've got amazing skill. They can play their own stuff. They can play covers like Note Perfect. Why aren't they out on the road? And it could well just be an economical thing of, well, I can play to my 500,000, 1 point whatever million subscribers, followers, earn this amount per play, or spend all of this money to go out and do shows that people may attend, or they may maybe his or her viewership is purely just there on YouTube, but won't actually go out and commit to go and see the show. So it's a weird position at the moment. I don't know how a lot of newer bands how they're doing it, how they're
Where
getting out there and
where will the
being
heroes
successful.
come from that were there last night? Really,
Yeah,
I don't know, man. I mean, it's just it's the streaming thing, and that's why ticket prices are so much money. It's great and it's accessible and it's amazing that you can hear albums at the drop of a hat. But um, sorry, I've had a bit of a ADHD. Where does the phrase "drop of the hat" come from? That's just really weird.
drop of a hat.
Just realised that's quite weird. My brain's just gone off on one little tangent there.
Let's have a
Where does
little
that phrase
Google.
come from?
Drop
While Tez is looking it
of
up,
a
like
hat mean.
where do the bands like that? I think the accessibility of music is great, but does it make the track special or make it special? Will we get another Back to the Beginning from someone who's new? I don't know. Who knows, man? It's Here we go.
So the idiom "at the drop of a hat" means to do something immediately without hesitation. Its origin is often traced back to the 19th century, possibly from the American Old West, where dropping a hat was a signal to start a fight,
Oh,
race, or other contest.
wow. There we go. That was educational.
There you go, you learn something.
But I mean, there's lots to talk about on this situation with streaming, and I'm glad we've got an outlet to say these stories. And I'm sure there's lots of bands that would, if any bands want to get in touch and come in talk, I've got some friends in music who we're going to get on, especially about the buy-on situation, because there's a lot of people talking, and how these festivals charge you 25% to sell your merch, and how it's crap. It's really crap. That shouldn't happen, and no one will stand up for it because they don't want to lose a spot at the festival, because there'll be another band that will take their slot. They don't want to say, no, I'm not letting you have 25% of my t-shirt sales, and it's cost me 250 quid to get here. Because if they did, they wouldn't get the slot.
Yeah, and that's it. And like what people might not appreciate is that, let's say you want to make your t-shirts affordable for the consumers
Yep.
to buy your shirts and incentivize them as well. But those t-shirts weren't free. You've had to pay for the design, pay for getting them made, and so to make them available at a reasonable price to the public, your margin, not to get all accountancy here, your margin might already be kind of small. So if then the venue or the festival want to take 25%, you could effectively be then losing money per shirt
But you're selling shirts, and people
because
are taking shirt items. We're making new fans.
you're making new fans, yeah, but obviously, I know in in today that merch from touring is one of the fewer, now that CDs aren't quite bought as much really at all as they used to be. I know a lot of bands where they make their money is the merch, but then yeah, if the venue are then taking their cut of the merch, which is just makes no sense to me, then straight away they're already in a position of like, well, we're going to have to increase our prices, and that's why you sometimes now see like
Yeah.
t-shirts for
Baseball
45
cap for
50 quid and
£35. You know,
yeah.
it's crazy, mate. And does it all boil back to streaming? You've got the accessibility of music getting out to people. Does it make that song valuable and special? Do people connect to that singular song, or where they listen to that first few seconds, skip it? Listen to the first few seconds, skip it. Does it make it special? It's such a weighted scale of what's good, what's bad. We won't know from experience of being the artist who created music and went through both those periods of time. And we'll still go through these periods of time. I love the idea of putting a song out and people can hear it straight away. But I also loved making a record and doing the booklet and having all the instruments, all of the people who performed on the record played. You know, it sounds weird, like JD, a guitar, acoustic guitar, you know, mandolin, Lawrence percussion, backing vocals, you know, reading the booklet notes, thank yous from the album, where it was recorded. Like, that's proper, man. That's proper. That's proper, and it gets you, and that's why seeing Ozzy last night makes you want to cry. You know, it makes you feel like crying. It's much more than skipping a song or thinking this is crap, don't want to listen to this. It's great, but it's also it's slowly chipping away at the foundation. Maybe, I don't know, or maybe it's making a new foundation. We won't know for many years.
No, and it's as you say, in terms of like you can very quickly skip songs. Like quite often, if I go like to the gym, I'll think I could just listen to a podcast or let's listen to some actual music. And I quite often think I want to hear some newer stuff. I don't want to keep just listening back to the songs that I love that I know, but I want to try and discover some new stuff. And quite often I'll end up going like Spotify. Let's listen to new metal, not new metal, but new released metal. And then I'll end up being like, no, skip, no, skip. But then on the flip side, I recently had to go and pick up my dad's car. It's a long old story, but my dad ended up getting stranded in Cornwall, funnily enough. And so we had to drive the 6.5 hours down from Milton Keynes to collect him and also get his car. So I drove his car back. It doesn't have the mod cons of a current car, so I couldn't even connect my phone for sat nav. I had to follow my fiance's car, and so I was just listening to the radio, and it happened to be the rock show, Radio 1 rock show.
Yeah.
And because I didn't have the option of going, well, I could skip the stations and listen to some other stuff, or just listen to what it is, I then found myself going, oh, actually, wait, who's doing this song at the moment? 'Cause this was quite good. And then from there, I can then go, right, I'm going to remember that band's name, follow them on Spotify and see what their other stuff is like. But I don't know if I'd have listened to that song or if I'd have paid attention to that song if it came up on a random playlist. Because I might have just heard the opening, 4 bars, 8 bars and gone, nah, it's not, I don't want to listen to this right now.
Skip. Yeah. It's funny, isn't it, man? It's funny. It's the devil you know, as they say. The devil you know. What will we find out? We'll find out in the future. Maybe it's good to open this can some more, analyse it some more, let's tell stories. It's good. It's good. We've enjoyed it, Tez. Another good episode of Nothing But a Good Podcast. Thank you for everyone for listening.
Exactly.
It's good.
Yeah, thank you for listening.
Where can everyone find you, Tez?
Where can people find me? They can find me pretty much everywhere as Ministry of Horror, X, TikTok. I am trying to do more regular little short form videos on TikTok and YouTube Shorts. But the long form podcast is a horror podcast, doing horror news, reviews, sometimes featured pieces on like directors and film series. That goes out Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and YouTube, and it's Ministry of Horror. So be sure to give it a follow, subscribe, like, share, everything.
Check it out, guys. It's good. It's a great podcast. Tez is an awesome host, and it's coming up to loads of just. Tez is just great. Just check out all Tez's stuff.
Thank you.
He's a great guy. He's a great guy. And come and check out all Nothing But Good Time shows. We got all our tour dates, nothingbutgoodtime.co.uk. Anyone wants to check out some of our Voodoo Vegas music on streams, just search Voodoo Vegas. All our albums are up on there. And you can also just come and see a live show. Thank you. Please share the podcast. Please hit subscribe on this podcast, on the YouTube, on the Apple. Give us a review. 5 stars would be great. It helps in the algorithm. More people find out the podcast. Thank you very much for everyone checking out the podcast. It's great to be able to tell these stories and get this out. I feel I like telling these stories, Tez, and thank you for joining me on this Nothing But Good podcast ride. And looking forward to doing some more. So
exactly, do.
For now, we will see you guys on the flip flop. Bye, everybody. It's for you, Tez.
Goodbye, Lawrence.
Bye, everybody.